Pompeii, the city frozen in time. In the late afternoon of August 24, in the year 79, ash began to fall over the streets of Pompeii like gray snow. At first, many people did not panic. Mount Vesuvius had stood above the bay for centuries, green with vineyards and quiet under the summer sun. The earth had shaken before. The people of the city had learned to live with it. Then the sky turned black. Roofs collapsed under the weight of volcanic stone. Horses screamed in the narrow streets. Mothers pressed cloth against their children's mouths as the air filled with dust, so thick it burned the lungs. Some citizens fled toward the sea. Others locked themselves inside their homes, believing the walls would protect them. By midnight, the city had almost disappeared beneath the mountain's shadow. And yet the greatest tragedy of Pompeii was not only that thousands died there. It was that, for centuries afterward, the world misunderstood what Pompeii truly was. Most people remembered Pompeii as a doomed Roman city destroyed in a single terrible day. They imagined it as a place trapped forever beneath ash, frozen like a photograph from the ancient world. But that version of the story missed something deeper. Pompeii was not simply a city that died. It became one of the greatest historical accidents in human history. The volcano destroyed lives, yet it also preserved them with terrifying precision. Beneath the ash, entire streets survived. Bread remained inside ovens. Political slogans still clung to walls. Even the final positions of human bodies endured. And hidden among these ruins were truths that challenged what many believed about Rome itself. The listeners were about to discover how ordinary Romans truly lived, why many victims may not have died the way people imagined, and how a disaster turned an entire city into a message sent across 2,000 years. The question was no longer how Pompeii died. The real question was why it survived. Before the eruption, Pompeii had stood beside the bay, one of the richest regions in the Roman world. Rome ruled the Mediterranean through military power, trade, and fear. But cities like Pompeii revealed another side of the empire: comfort, pleasure, and private ambition. Its streets were crowded with merchants, bakers, sailors, slaves, and wealthy landowners. Public baths filled with steam every evening. Wine shops remained open deep into the night. Graffiti covered walls across the city. Some messages praised politicians. Others insulted rivals or declared love affairs with astonishing honesty. Rome often appeared distant in history books, wrapped in marble and legend. Pompeii revealed something more intimate. It revealed noise, dirt, desire, human weakness. And there was another surprise. Ancient Romans did not always live in silent admiration of their emperors and gods. Pompeii showed arguments, mockery, and everyday frustration written openly across the city walls. It sounded less like an empire of conquerors and more like exhausted workers trying to survive another day. That was the strange power of Pompeii. It brought the ancient world dangerously close to the present. 17 years before the eruption, a massive earthquake had already damaged the city. Temples cracked, houses collapsed. Many families left forever, yet Pompeii rebuilt itself. Wealth returned. New villas rose beside broken streets. The city lived under a warning it did not fully understand. And neither did Rome. For centuries, Romans had not even possessed a word for volcano. Vesuvius was seen as a mountain, not a threat. That single misunderstanding changed everything. Into this uneasy world stepped thousands of ordinary people who never imagined they were living in history's most famous graveyard. Among them were slaves carrying water through the streets, wealthy families hosting banquets under painted ceilings, and children chasing dogs across the stone roads. Then came the first test. On the morning of the eruption, a towering column of ash exploded into the sky nearly 20 miles high. The lawyer and writer Pliny the Younger later described it as resembling a pine tree, rising upward before spreading across the heavens. At first, many citizens hesitated. That hesitation proved deadly. Some gathered valuables instead of escaping. Others searched for missing relatives. A few watched the mountain in fascination. Human beings often struggled to recognize disaster while standing inside it. Pompeii became one of history's clearest examples of that terrible instinct. Yet another myth slowly collapsed under modern study. For generations, people believed most victims suffocated slowly beneath ash. Archaeologists later discovered something far more brutal. Many died instantly when superheated clouds of gas and debris rushed through the city at enormous speed. The heat was so extreme that it stopped life in seconds. The mountain did not simply bury Pompeii. It erased it with almost unimaginable force. Still, some fought to survive. Along the shoreline, groups waited desperately for rescue boats. Others fled through falling stones, sharp enough to split skulls. In one house, archaeologists found a family sheltering beside a bed, trapped together in their final moments. What would any person have chosen? To run into darkness outside or remain behind familiar walls? As the night deepened, the city entered its turning point. Pyroclastic flows surged down the mountain like black hurricanes. Temples vanished. Markets disappeared. The amphitheater fell silent forever. By dawn, Pompeii no longer existed as a living city. Several meters of ash covered the streets. Then came the long silence. For nearly 17 centuries, fields and vineyards spread above the buried ruins. Locals forgot the exact location of the city itself. The world moved on. Empires rose and collapsed. Languages changed. Wars reshaped Europe. Pompeii slept beneath the earth. Its rediscovery began almost by accident in the 18th century. Workers digging underground uncovered walls, statues, and human remains preserved with astonishing detail. Soon, explorers realized they had not found isolated ruins. They had found an entire Roman city sealed in time. Nothing comparable had ever appeared before. In most ancient cities, wood rotted away. Cloth vanished. Paintings faded. But Pompeii remained protected beneath volcanic ash like an insect trapped inside amber. Loaves of bread still carried the marks of bakers' fingers. Wine jars stood where merchants had left them. In one haunting discovery, archaeologists found the body of a dog, still twisted against its chain. The city became a mirror held up to the Roman world. But preservation carried a moral cost as well. Early excavators often searched only for treasure. Valuable statues disappeared into private collections. Some ruins suffered more damage from human curiosity than from the volcano itself. Even in death, Pompeii was exploited, and there was another uncomfortable truth. For centuries, historians preferred to describe Rome through emperors, generals, and senators. Pompeii forced them to confront ordinary lives instead. Slaves appeared beside noblemen, prostitutes beside priests, laundry workers beside politicians. The buried city democratized Roman history. Its end also revealed the fragile illusion of permanence. Pompeii had possessed wealth, culture, trade, and Roman protection. None of it mattered against the force beneath Vesuvius. In the final hours, the empire could not save even one city from nature. The ending had been written long before the eruption began. The earthquake years earlier had served as a warning. The trembling earth had spoken clearly. Yet prosperity blinded Pompeii to danger. Human beings often mistook survival for safety. And so the city remained where it stood, directly beneath the mountain that would destroy it. The answer to the documentary's central question now became clear. Pompeii survived because catastrophe preserved what time normally erased. The volcano acted as both executioner and archivist. That contradiction gave Pompeii its strange immortality. Today, the city still reshaped humanity's understanding of the ancient world. Without Pompeii, historians would know far less about Roman daily life architecture, food, religion, and social class. Entire academic fields grew from its excavation. Even small details changed history. Archaeologists discovered election slogans painted on walls, proving that Roman political culture reached deeply into ordinary streets. Preserved gardens revealed forgotten farming methods. Household shrines showed how private religion shaped family life. Pompeii corrected the myth that Rome existed only through conquest and emperors. It showed cooks, laborers, children, gamblers, artists, and exhausted workers trying to build ordinary lives beneath imperial power. That was perhaps its greatest gift. The city transformed ancient history from marble statues into breathing human experience. And history judged Pompeii unfairly in another way as well. It became famous mainly because it died. Yet, before the eruption, it had been alive with trade, art, ambition, and movement. The city deserved to be remembered not only for its destruction, but for the civilization it represented. Few places allowed the modern world to stand so close to antiquity. Few disasters accidentally preserved so much beauty beside so much suffering. Pompeii did not merely vanish beneath ash. It became time itself, buried under stone, and waiting patiently for the future to uncover it again. But one question still divided historians and archaeologists today. If the people of Pompeii had understood the true danger of Vesuvius after the earlier earthquakes, could the city have been evacuated in time? Or was its destruction already inevitable long before the first ash fell? And perhaps that was the most haunting truth of all. Pompeii was remembered forever not because it escaped disaster, but because it could not. For more journeys into the forgotten worlds that shaped human civilization, subscribe and continue exploring the past where history still waits beneath the dust.